Hello, I'm John, welcome to my channel, Disquiet and Dragons, and in today's video I'll be doing my weekly wrap up, week ending the 8th of September. Hello, so welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my weekly update, and please excuse any road noise or anything like that. My car decided today was going to be the day that it just spat oil all over the road, so going to be without the car for a bit, so I've had to go to somewhere a bit closer to home today. But yeah, I'll get on with the weekly wrap up. So it's been a good reading week this week. I managed to finish 3 books. I've just about started another. The first book that I finished was Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I did go into detail on that on a previous video, so I won't talk about it too much, but phenomenal book, brilliant ending to the trilogy, and I think it was made all the better by reading it with 2 dear friends in a buddy read. That was Nikhil and Ellie. So absolutely love that book. If you want to hear my thoughts on Robin Hobb, I did post a video earlier in the week, so there's that to watch if you'd like to. The second book I finished this week was Maggie's Grave by David Sodergren. I've previously read The Heart by this author, and I absolutely adore that book. It's a 5-star read for me. I just love the atmosphere and the way that he uses the environment to instill uneasiness in the reader. So I had very high hopes for Maggie's Grave, and I had heard really good things, and it didn't quite live up to my expectations, unfortunately. I think it's possibly me expecting something along the lines of The Heart, and it really wasn't. I was expecting another like slow burn, really atmospheric, tense, uneasy type read, and it wasn't that. The atmosphere was great. It was set in like a small Scottish town. That side of things was awesome. Like, it's next to a mountain, it's grim and it's snowy and cold, but it wasn't like a atmospheric slow burn like The Heart. It was very much it's quite fast-paced and quite action-packed. It's about a small town about 300 years ago. A witch was falsely accused and killed, and this town has got a curse, and without spoilers, you learn what this curse is. And present time, the witch comes back and wreaks absolute havoc in this town. The easiest way I describe this book is it's the Terminator with a witch. We've got our main characters. There's I think it's Alice and Beth, and I think the other one is Steve and Grady. I think I can't quite remember their names. They're good characters, but they're a little bit forgettable, to be fair. But the story focuses on this group of 4 friends. They're like late teens, early 20s, and yeah, the witch suddenly starts chasing them. They go up to the cabin that she lived in on the side of the mountain. They get up to some shenanigans up there, and yeah, the witch thinks, I'm not having this, and starts cleaning them off one by one. Chases them through the town, into the countryside, all over the place. Very, very gory book. If body horror is your thing, you'll probably love it. But yeah, the character work I don't think was as strong as The Heart. The atmosphere, while it had a good atmosphere, it wasn't quite as strong either. But I'm not going to be too negative about the book, because I think it's my expectations as opposed to it being a bad book. Despite being quite disappointed with it, I still gave it 3.5 stars on Storygraph, which, you know, it's a really good book. I mean, I read it in, I think, 3 sittings. It's only a short book, it's about 270 pages, but I read it in a day and a half. So, you know, you don't read a book that fast if you're not enjoying it. Did enjoy it, but it wasn't quite what I expected it to be. But yeah, really good book, really gory. If witches and folk horror and body horror is your kind of thing, well worth reading. And the final book that I read this week was The Dark Between the Trees by Fiona Barnett. I listened to this on Audible, so that's what I spent my credit on this month. I'd heard a lot of good things about this book, and my friend Ellie told me that it's actually a debut novel, which I didn't know that before I started reading it. It's set on 2 timelines. It's about this wood or forest. I think it's somewhere in the north of England, and a research team. It's like a professor or a doctor and her student, and then there's 2 park rangers and an audience survey cartographer. I think that's the word for a map maker, I think. Anyway, they go to these woods and they go on an expedition because 300 years previously, during the Civil War, a small platoon of men had gone through these woods and gone missing, and it was quite the mystery. So the academics decided that they were going to go and investigate this, and they finally got chance, and they had like the other people following them to make sure they were safe and everything. And the other timeline is we actually follow this platoon of soldiers and see what happened 300 years previous in 1640 something, I think it's meant to be happening. Yeah, so this book, it starts off and it switches, each chapter it switches timelines, and I absolutely loved it for the first 2/3 of the book. The only thing I would say is, because it goes on 2 timelines and there's a lot of different characters, it is quite easy to lose track of who's who. It was a bit easier with it on audiobook because there's 2 narrators, and they both did a wonderful job of each character had a different accent or spoke in a different way, so it was a little bit easier to keep track of people. But if you do struggle with that kind of thing, it is something to consider. Yeah, so as we're exploring these 2 timelines with these 2 groups of characters, the descriptions of the woodland are really atmospheric and quite beautiful at times. The author's prose is really quite good, considering it's a debut. I mean, I've read debuts that are a lot worse than this, so yeah, she's to be commended on that type of thing. Really atmospheric at times, and really quite creepy, and there was a couple of times when it really sent a shiver down my spine. It was really quite effective in the way that it ramped up its sense of dread, but unfortunately it didn't quite stick the landing, and the ending did go where I thought it was going to go. Not a bad book by any means. I did quite well for the first 2/3 of it. I thought it was going to be a 4.5 star read, but unfortunately with the ending, I gave it 3 stars in the end. But definitely an author I'll be keeping an eye on, because prose and the writing style, fantastic. Just that ending. Finally, on to the book that I started this week. I can't really talk too much about it because I'm only about 2 chapters in, and that's Last Days by Adam Neville. So far, really quite enjoy it. It seems quite mysterious, the direction it's going, but yeah, not too sure what's going on yet, as I'm only 2 chapters in, but It's my first time of reading Adam Neville. I've heard nothing but good things about him, to be fair, so I'm looking forward to seeing if I enjoy this one. As for movies I've watched this week, I only watched one movie. I went to the cinema to see Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Still trying to watch all the Star Wars films again at the cinema. Really like this film. It's definitely my favourite of the prequel films. I really love some of the symbolism in them. Like there's one scene where Obi-Wan and Anakin are talking, and Obi-Wan's standing in the light and Anakin's standing in shadow. And then there's another part where Anakin's talking to Mace Windu, and you can tell that Anakin's kind of not quite sure what to do, and he's kind of half stood in shadow, half stood in light. So yeah, some really clever shots in that film. Really love the action sequences. Starts off really strong with this like starfighter sequence. Loads of lightsaber battles, everything you could want from a Star Wars movie in my opinion. But I have done something a bit different this week that I don't normally talk about, and I've played a computer game. I don't play many games during like the summer, late summer. Normally like winter, spring hobby for me. But I started playing a game called Lost Eidolons. It's like a medieval type set strategy RPG, I guess is the way to describe it. I've played like the first few missions. It seems really good. I'm not very good at those kinds of games, but the difficulty curve seems quite manageable. And the other game I've been playing is Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate Demon Hunters. This game, I've played it for about 3 hours so far this week. It's really good. It's another strategy game. If you've played the XCOM games, it's really similar to that. Instead of a base, you've got this huge starship that you fly around the universe to and star systems to do different missions. You take control of the Grey Knights chapter of the Space Marines. They're a bit different to normal Space Marines, as they've all got like psychic powers, and their speciality is, as the title suggests, demon hunters. Quite story driven. The story seems quite good. You take control of this like small strike force of Grey Knights, and this Inquisitor comes along and commandeers your ship, and you end up like working in tandem with the Inquisition. But yeah, really enjoying it. It doesn't seem too complicated for a strategy game. The tutorial is quite good. It like feeds you information quite slowly, so you can take it all in. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that one so far. As always, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. I'd like to thank you all for watching and liking and subscribing, and as always, if you'd like to put in the comments what you've been up to this week, I'd love to have a chat with you. Anyway, until the next one, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.